You are listening to MINDSHOCK. This is Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
And we have a doozy of a topic today. It's actually been requested multiple times. It's very trending in the world of conspiracies and the kooks. It is the topic of flat Earth, and what better day than April Fool's Day to discuss it? If you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like our Facebook page. Feel free to share this video. And you could also check us out, Twitter, Reddit, Patreon. So what do you think, Maxwell? Is the world round or flat? Have you seen all the insanity online about this particular conspiracy theory?
I've seen a few videos. They have really good arguments, and it makes me think about a lot of things. Now I forget how fast supposedly the Earth spins around.
1,000 miles an hour on its own axis?
Okay, so like 1,000 miles an hour. When I look up in the sky, like I see the stars in the same spot, and supposedly, I mean, if you look through a telescope or something, you would see the stars without moving the telescope. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, so that's one that I kind of question. It's kind of, I don't know if we're spinning that fast. I mean, the stars should move around a little bit. But I have seen the stop motion. What do you call that when you I think it's stop motion.
Time lapse.
Time lapse. Yeah, I've seen that where the stars move around the sky. But another thing too, like I saw this video with the local sun. There's this video, and this guy was taking a video with a pilot, and you can see the window to his side, and the sun was like in the clouds. Oh man, it was kind of weird, man. It was bugging me out, dude.
So are you a flat earther, Maxwell?
No, I don't know yet. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe the sun was like let's say like the plane was on top, like because the plane was on top of the clouds, right? And the camera was and the plane was looking down to the side, and the sun it looked like it was in the freaking clouds, not in the space. But I'm thinking maybe possibly the sun was like at the very like bottom of where the earth is, so it looks like it's through the clouds. But it's kind of messed up because I saw clouds on the other side of the sun on the farther side. Oh man, it was kind of crazy.
All right. Before we get into these matters of perspective and whatnot, I just wanted to address real quick. So MindShock is about being logical, objective, scientifically objective, which is the way to do real science. So what I've found the most entertaining about this whole so-called debate is that both sides use religious faith-based ideologies. So you have the people that believe in a globe earth appeal to authority fallacies to scientists and NASA, whereas you have the flat earthers appealing to not all of them, but a lot of them appeal to the Bible. So you have the appeal to authority fallacy to their, priests, ministers, and a book that was written thousands of years ago, which may or may not be true. Maybe it's all true, who knows? But it's not true because it's written in the book. So again, that's logically fallacious. So you have both sides. I have yet to see, and I admit I am not, the most researched in the flat earth theory. I do find it very interesting, but I haven't seen too many people argue objectively and logically. Like you have Bill Nye repeating, the mast of the ship going below the horizon, and yet, even Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying when you're in an airplane, that's not high enough to see curvature. So like, which is it? So, and then of course you have certain perception, the perception of the human eye convergence. Like if you look at train tracks, they appear to touch in the distance. That doesn't mean they touch. So when a ship goes over the horizon, is it merely going out of human field of view? Like if you put a dot on a piece of paper and then move the paper across a really big room, you're not going to see the dot. That doesn't mean that the dot went over the horizon. So there's just fallacious arguments on both sides, and I'm kind of wondering why there are so few neutral, objective analysis of this topic. So I guess MindShock's going to have to be the first. So, condemnation without investigation is the height of all ignorance. I'm not going to condemn the flat Earth theory, even though I do have to admit I did think it was quite funny when it first came out, which I suppose my own indoctrination is the only reason I found it amusing. But, I'm looking at it objectively now. So, but let me raise you flat Earth. So, a lot of the problems that are observed with the heliocentric globular model can be explained with geocentrism. Now, I'm not saying that's true either, but if you check out the documentary, I believe it's called The Principle. The documentary, The Principle, it's about the Copernican principle where it's assumed that the heliocentric model is true, so all science is built to fit that. We've discussed Einstein and relativity pretty extensively on this podcast and the problems with it. Perhaps there's a lot of problems with heliocentrism as well. So if we live on, let's say we live on a globe, but let's say the globe is the center of the universe, as allegedly cosmic radiation appears to indicate that we are the center. So I don't know if that's true or not, but in the principle, that's what's alleged. And I have verified that certain laboratories and mainstream sources were responsible for these tests. So these are the scientists studying cosmic radiation. They're not fringe loonies. They are heliocentrists that are carrying out these experiments, and that's what the experiments are showing. So I guess they try to explain it away with something else. I don't know. But there is evidence to suggest that we live in a geocentric system. And I think the whole globe versus flat I think that's a bridge too far for most people because it's so radical and people get triggered so easily with anything. I mean, the mark of an intelligent mind is to be able to entertain a concept or idea as true without believing it. So if we're going to be logical and scientific, we can consider the flat earth theory without believing in it. We could just consider, how would it work? Is it reasonable? So this isn't really an extensive podcast series on flat earth. We may do that. We've received a lot of requests because people want to see that covered in MindShock fashion. This is just a quick analysis of the phenomena of the flat earth theory. But Maxwell, so you think it's strange that if we're rotating around the axis at 1,000 miles an hour from west to east, that the stars appear in the same spot? But you think that's surprising? How come you didn't add that we're going around the sun at over 60,000 miles an hour while the entire Milky Way galaxy is flying through the universe at over 600,000 miles an hour? So why?
I just completely forgot about it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we're talking that the percentage difference is that much more extreme. So shouldn't the constellations appear elsewhere? Especially,
Yeah.
we're talking even in one night. Even in one night, they should change drastically. But if you look at if you look at where the Big Dipper is, it's in the same spot as it was last year and 10 years ago and 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But so now this is what I'm talking about with logical fallacies. So that doesn't prove that the earth is flat in any way. In any way. The same way as saying, "Oh, look, the moon is round, therefore the earth is round." I mean, that's an appeal to similarity, which is obviously false. Like if you're standing in a room and you look up at a light bulb, the light bulb is round, therefore you're standing on a round surface. No, you're not. You're on a flat floor, regardless of whether the light in the room is a globe or not. If you're playing billiards, all of the billiard balls are round. Does that mean the table is round? Of course not. So, but that doesn't prove the world is flat either. That doesn't prove it's round or flat. So, what I find hilarious about the whole flat versus globe debate is that in most of the arguments on both sides, it actually doesn't prove one way or the other, regardless of whether the argument is true or not. So that's that's what I find interesting about the whole thing. But so are you on the fence? Is that what you're saying?
I'm. It's not like I don't know. I don't know if it's. I guess I don't know. Maybe. I.
All right, let's play that. Let's play this game, Maxwell. So you think the constellations are the most convincing argument for it being not.
I didn't even know that was an argument. I didn't know that was a position.
So the flat Earth model basically states that it's a flat, motionless plane. And the most hilarious, I think, attack on flat Earth is, well, where's the edge? Who said there's an edge? If the universe is infinite, why wouldn't a flat Earth be an infinite plane? So, not that it is or it isn't. It's just it's weird because arguments on both sides, they don't seem to prove anything. It's like, oh well, it's X, Y, or Z, therefore it's flat. But how does that prove it's flat, even if it's true? Just like if that video of the sun being under the cloud or whatever, even if that's true, how does that prove round or flat?
Yeah, but I guess those who believe in the globe would. I mean, I know that you know the answer to this, but like the NASA photos and stuff like that.
That they're all fake.
Yeah, things like that. Like they believe everything NASA gives. So
Well, I think what's interesting about this whole debate is it possible to prove the globular heliocentric model without a logical fallacy in your argument? And then conversely, is it possible to prove a motionless flat geocentric argument without a logical fallacy? I haven't seen either done. I haven't seen either done. That's why the whole topic is so insane. And are we all fools for even discussing the topic? Are we being April Fools? I think it's kind of silly, though. I think it's silly the shutting down of any kind of conversation in a free society with free speech. And if you're truly an objective scientist, you will welcome any criticism to any model. So that's another interesting thing. Like it seems like those that buy into the heliocentric globe model, they seem to get triggered quite easily and reject all questioning of the model. If the model is that sound, what's the problem with seeing if it stands up to scrutiny? And I've also seen similar attacks from the flat earthers who kind of just call people globe heads and, indoctrinated sheep. Why not? Why not have? Like, why is it so impossible to have an intelligent debate? Now, some of the flat earthers they point to Neil deGrasse Tyson like being too scared to even debate what's his name, Eric Dubay, the leader of the flat Earth movement. I guess some people call him the leader. I don't know. Other people call him a CIA shill. I don't know. This whole flat Earth insanity that's all over social media. I mean, I kind of I didn't want to not address it, but I didn't want to really address it either. But we've gotten so many requests to cover flat Earth that I thought it might need some addressing because on MindShock we go into every mystery and conspiracy conceivable and analyze them all logically and objectively and in a comprehensive fashion. So I do think it's kind of strange that you got guys like Bill Nye using easily debunked positions for so-called proofs of a globe model. There's so many better proofs for a globe model. Why is Bill Nye like it seems kind of weird. Some people think the whole flat earth movement is a CIA psyop. But again, even if it's a psyop, does that mean it's flat or round? Once again, the psyop argument has nothing that doesn't prove it one way or another. Because if it's a psyop to just cause division, even Eric Dubay states that he thinks that the whole flat earth, I think it was Eric Dubay, I don't remember. Somebody was stating that they think flat earth was let out of the bag on purpose. So it's actually, was that Matt Powerland? Was that guy?
what you say it again?
I think Matt Powerland or Powerland, whatever that guy's name is. He was an artist for NASA who claims that he was faking so-called photographs for NASA. Make them the blue marble shots, making it nice, pretty, and blue, adding clouds. I mean, there's definitely anomalies with a lot of NASA's work. So let's take. I mean, I've also seen some of the more intelligent heliocentric globe earthers agree to not use NASA in an argument, which is nice because they're removing the appeal to authority fallacy. So the flat earthers should similarly remove the Bible as a tool of argumentation. they should, if we're looking at natural science, we need observable, measurable, repeatable. Can you prove either model using natural science and logic? What do you think, Maxwell?
Can we use can we do what?
Maxwell Army. Can we prove either model? Can you prove a heliocentric globe model or a geocentric flat stationary model using natural science? That means it has to be observable, measurable, and repeatable and non-fallacious.
Um, I guess. I guess I'd have to fly out with a rocket to the sky and like see it for myself, or I don't know.
I don't. Okay, I guess you could say that. I was more saying like, let's say you have a firm argument in either model. Can you prove it? How can you prove it? Like, if you're on the fence, I don't even want to say I'm on the fence. I think my position is I think I'm going to abstain from this from this debate because it's pretty strange. I mean, if we get enough if the demand increases, we might have to do a dedicated series on this because one of the criticisms of flat earthers, of conspiracy theorists, is that they don't believe anything the government says, but they lap up everything NASA says. So it's kind of strange. I mean, I could see their point. It's kind of strange if you're going to be truly objective and scientific, you're not going to use any kind of circular reasoning fallacies. You're not going to say, well, because the Earth is round, this, and this, or because we live in a heliocentric model. You have to approach it from true objectivity, from saying, okay, we don't know whether it's round or flat. Let's look at the evidence honestly. And nobody has done that. So I guess if it comes down to it, we'll have to do that. But as it states, this was just covering the all the hoopla surrounding the flat Earth movement, so to speak. Do you have any thoughts on the hoopla? Why do you think it's such a crazy popular topic?
On the what?
The hoopla.
The hell is a hoopla?
Hoopla just means madness or excitement. Like there's a lot of just craziness around this topic. I mean, you have flat earthers being interviewed on mainstream news segments, mostly just to make fun of them, which is also kind of telling because it's kind of serious. I mean, there's a lot of, especially with the younger people on Facebook and Instagram, they're all about flat Earth. So when you're just making fun of flat earthers, you're kind of opening that divide. If the Earth really is a globe and a heliocentric model, you should seriously use actual factual argumentation and scientific argumentation to address that. Because when you make fun of it, you're just getting the flat earthers to believe even more in their position. So if that's it's just kind of strange. I find a lot of this kind of strange. It seems like a well orchestrated psyop, which once again, it seems like it's irrelevant. The psyop had nothing to do with truth. It's just creating madness. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's got to be your next mug,
well,
Maxwell. I
well,
don't know
I
how.
was thinking about the arguments that it was coming to my mind, like as you were talking, like how the airplane was like, if you're in an airplane, it doesn't. I mean, if you go straight, it doesn't go into space. It goes around the globe at the same height. I don't know, some shit like that. I forgot how that argument went, but
Yes, that is the argument. You'd have to continue dipping the nose, but yeah, it's kind of rough. It's kind of rough. I've looked at some of the gyroscope arguments. They're pretty interesting. The thing that neither side seems willing to admit is that a lot of these experiments wouldn't necessarily prove it one way or another, especially with all of the infinite undiscovered laws of physics. The behavior.
I like that that other argument where they it goes about you know that so you know how the round surface like is supposed to dip, but supposedly they look across with a telescope and they saw the city
Yeah, I've seen
across.
those. I've seen those. Those are very interesting. It does seem to point to the Earth having a larger circumference. Once again, how does that prove flat, though? That would just prove, once again, it would need to be repeated many times. I'm not sure if it was. I'm not saying it's not a legitimate experiment, but let's say that's all true. how does that prove that the Earth is a flat plane? That would just prove that the circumference of the sphere is larger.
Yeah,
You know?
well, I thought it was I wasn't sure about the details, but supposedly they measured
Yeah, I think you're missing
mi-
my point. Yes, it's 8 inches per square mile. That's the curvature, and the circumference of the because the circumference of the Earth is approximately 25,000 miles. Spherical trigonometry comes out to 8 inches per mile squared. So they measured. I've seen those experiments. So they measured it. So how does that prove it's flat though? Because that would just prove that the Earth is not 25,000 miles in circumference. It could still be a sphere or spherical, an oblate
oh,
sphere.
so at least they proved that it's not that it's not as small as they or as big as
If if
or
if their calculations were correct and that experiment is legitimate, yes, it would prove that the Earth is larger. So once again, that's kind of fallacious on the flat earther side to say that, oh, that proves the Earth is flat. No, it doesn't. That just proves that it could be a bigger sphere, if legitimate. So yeah, that's what I mean with this whole debate on both sides. You have certain proofs being kind of masquerading as definitive proofs. They're not. It doesn't prove it one way or the other. So that was basically the point that I wanted to address with the podcast. On April Fool's Day, are we all April Fools? Possibly. I just did another April Fool's podcast too, so if you haven't checked that out, check that out on the channel on the April Fool's Day conspiracy. Okay, so we hope you enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast. If you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and feel free to share the video, like our Facebook page. You can also check out our Twitter, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
and Maxwell Powers.
We'll see you guys next time.